Hi everyone! Hello! So this is Erin with Pens and Needles, and today we're going to be doing something related to snow. I don't know if you can see, but there's lots of snow. It covered up our projector Christmas light right there. Um, there was a big snowstorm recently, and I tried to get some footage of the snow falling, so I'll include that if it turned out well. And today we're going to be looking at these kind of snowflakes, which are tatted. So I took a little teeny tiny thread and I knotted it a bunch of times in a specific way to make these cute little lace snowflakes. So what we're going to be doing is dyeing them with fountain pen ink. I've tried this a few times. I'm still getting used to it, but I think it's a really fun project and it's going to look really cool. All right, in case I didn't say it, I will be bringing out a video soon showing you how to do some tatting. So if you're interested in picking up this craft, especially with COVID, a lot of us are still going to be in quarantine for a little bit longer, so it might be worth trying out a new activity. You can do a lot of things with this. You can make doilies, you can make trim, you can make really intricate lace. Snowflakes are just the beginning. So let's come over here. I'll show you what you can do once the project is finished, and then in another video, I will show you how to make your own. So this is the tatted snowflake pattern. So this will be available on the Patreon. You might be able to tell that these tatting designs are made by a series of rings and chains, is what they're called, and picots, which are these little accents here. So by combining those in different ways, you can get lots of different shapes and designs. And often when people are done making these, they will stiffen them using starch or glue. The thread can sometimes come in different colors. So this is some trim that I've been working on here, and it has not been stiffened yet, so it's still a little wibbly wobbly. So you can get really creative with different colors as well. And you can do this with bigger threads or smaller threads, depending on what look you're going for. I'm using a ecru colored thread right now, so it's not pure white, but it is light enough that it should take the dye pretty well. And I've got my syringe with some water, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water, a few drops at a time, to get this reconstituted. All right. So what my plan is, and what I've tried before, is dipping the very edges of the snowflake into the dye. So I have these great little, I got this with a restaurant takeout, and it's really great for storing your ink, and it can help, you know, just kind of like keep it in one spot. And especially if you pour out a little bit too much and you're doing art sort of activities with it, then you can save it there. And if it dries, you just add some more water and it's good to go again. It might not be exactly the same density and saturation that it was when you were going to put it in your fountain pen. If you'd like to preserve that, you can use a syringe like this, a pen syringe, or a sort of eyedropper, or any kind of mechanism. You can even just tilt and pour the ink back into your bottle before you're done with your whole cleanup. But that also, you want to make sure you haven't cross-contaminated anything, or else you might have a surprising new color added to your ink bottle. All right. So my plan, again, is to do the outside. You could also take a paintbrush or a Q-tip and very carefully dab certain parts. So with this one, since I've got more work area, I might dab the edges one color, maybe dab the inside a different color, and see how that goes. You could even, if it's small enough, you could even sort of get some tweezers or something and drop it in so one side of it is coated, and lift it out. And see how you get different effects like that. So we're going to start by doing the edges here. I just want to make sure I have a surface to let them dry on. Right here. So this is just a baby spinach lid. I love recycling. So we can put that here so our table doesn't get wet. So I decided to make things a little easier on myself. Go with paintbrush. Q-tip will transfer the ink really well, but it will do it in a very slow way. The Q-tip doesn't like blob out bits, and I kind of want to go fast. So I'm going to use my paintbrush so I can really spread it quickly instead of dabbing and transferring a lot. So I'm just saving myself a little effort. If you want a much lighter effect, or if you're worried about exactly where the ink's going to go, maybe a Q-tip is the tool for you. All right, so if I remember correctly, this is food coloring. And I don't really want to use the food coloring, because it has sugar in it. And if you're giving these away as decorations, people are going to leave them out. They might get damp. They might get, I don't want anything to grow from the sugar or get weird. So we're just not going to use the food coloring for right now. These are inks. They are meant to dry and be totally fine forever and ever. So we've got our, I believe this is the Robert Oster Deep Sea over here. And this is, it used to have some haha in it, but it is now the Robert Oster Gray Seas. So we'll try that out. I'm going to put these on my plastic. And I think for the first one, I'm just going to dip the edges in like that. If you start to look over here, you can see that all those little loops are starting to change color. So you can decide how much you want to saturate this. I might even tilt this a little bit so I can really get more of a dip in at a time. Tilt it at a wider angle. There we go. And my plan is for the ink to sort of spread a little bit through the cotton, so that you have the edges will be the darkest one color, and then towards the inner circle it will be a bit of a different color. All right, so we've got that right there. That looks pretty good. Now if I wanted, I could touch it up with my paintbrush, but I'm going to save my paintbrush for the Robert Oster Gray Seas. I'm going to make sure it's nice and mixed up. Now this had a really cool chromatography effect right here with these red and blue snowflakes. So for this one, I'm just going to paint right on. Now there is tatting thread you can get that is multicolored, that can look pretty cool, but you can't really predict where those colors pop. So I am really excited to use the fountain pen inks for this kind of project because I get to choose exactly where the colors go. And you might notice in the center here, there's already been some spread of the ink from that center ring up to the top. So I think we're going to get some pretty cool effects that way. So for this one, I'm going to do a two-tone, I think. I'm going to take some of our Deep Sea, which is that lovely teal color. And I think we're going to go for these picos up here. All right, so it's been a few minutes. I just wanted to show you what these cool snowflakes have transformed into. Whoops, still a little slutty. They're not totally dry yet, so the colors might be slightly less saturated when they dry, but you can see that the color has moved where I added just water onto the uninked bits of the tatting and then let the ink sort of swoosh into the water. You get a much more subtle, gentle effect. And areas where I added water onto an inked area, so here I added some water to the center, then the colors move much more quickly and in a more saturated way. And you get some really cool variations where the color starts to split into that chromatography. So I hope this inspires you to try using some fountain pen ink or food coloring if you don't mind just being careful with it because it has sugar residue in it. You can use that to dye different fabrics or knitted things, crocheted things, even ribbon, get creative. It would be really cool to see your designs, you can tag me in Instagram. You can also follow me on Patreon, Ravelry, or my Facebook page. I'm most active on Patreon, so if you want to see some behind the scenes footage, if you want to get templates or patterns like the pattern for this snowflake, you can get all of that stuff there once you become a patron. Thank you so much. Happy holidays, and I'll see you in my next video.